I was born on the back of America's native daughter and an African prince. Prince Younger was his name. Framingham, Massachusetts was my birthplace, but it held no bounds. My mother, a Natick Indian. My father bore stripes of slaves brought from his father's land. Skills and wit carried me through life as I traded goods to earn my keep. Freedom was a vision, always a hand's grasp of reckoning. Till one day it gripped me. 27 years a slave was a sand clock tilt from running out. I seized the moment. In an instant, I slipped away, a rocky cargo ride to town. I was born anew. Boston, here I come. Ah, I could smell the sea calling. Merchant sailing was my ploy. I set a sail on endless bounds, venturing the ocean's journey. 10 pounds was my bounty. They would have my head. So I kept low and offshore, trading ships and whaling. I and the crew harpooned the biggest sea urchin you ever did see. 20 years the blue waves kept my mystery. White whales tell no tales. Black whales sell no deeds. On land or sea, these old hands never cracked, never tired. Quick to barter, quick to build, never did you see a better rope man maker than me. I always taught it a tight rope into my future. Aye, aye. That was until one windy March day. Mine eyes was blind to glory. Why did I not see them there? 3 soldiers faced west. Bully people, push people, bully people, push. No man could have their way in their sight. Me and my rope-making brigade would dawdle no more. Like a snake we caught when alone. The Englishman said he was looking for work in his oh so proper way. Ha, terrible story, likely a spy. They force blokes like me into the British Army. When they don't, they're taking and stealing our jobs in our own land. We thrash that chap and send him on his way. Night unto night, we walked amidst our single business when a Boston man picked like a scab a fight with a custom house guard. Name calling pursued, snowball bash, stick toss, suddenly a great fisticuff broke out. Damned, there I stood tall as tail. Round and round I tried to escaund, but confusion abound. I knew not right, I knew not left. Droves of red coat, guns blaze, shots, debris, bullets, torture to lash at life. I ducked, I dodged, I dangled, but no matter the squirm, no matter the weasel, it hit me. I looked down. I see my winter coat glowing, growing in misery. Clutching my hand to stomach, I pulled away. I was shot. I was shot. Dead. Murdered. A first of 5 in the American Revolution. A Boston massacre. March 2, 1770.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is William H. Carney, and I'm the first black recipient of the Medal of Honor. February 17, 1863, soon after the Union Army called for colored volunteers, I enlisted in the Morgan Guards, which became part of the 54 Regiment Massachusetts Volunteer Infantry. Previously to the formation of colored troops, I had a strong inclination to prepare myself for the ministry, but when the country called for all persons, I could best serve my God, serving my country and my oppressed brothers. And together, we would prove to our detractors and the world that not only could we fight, but we would. July 18th, 1863, under the command of Colonel Robert Shaw, the 54th, along with other federal troops, laid siege at Fort Wagner on Morris Island, which guarded the entrance to the harbor of Charleston, South Carolina. The 600 men of the 54th would spearhead the federal assault from a slim strip of sand on the east side of the fort, which faced the Atlantic Ocean. And so, we dug into the sand about 1,000 yards from Fort Wagner. The federal land and sea artillery bombarded the fort all day long, and by nightfall, orders came down. The 54th stood up, dressed rank, and we charged. Confederate cannon fire and bullets filled the air, devastating the 54th. When Sergeant John Wall, who carried the colors, was sunless struck and the flag began to fall, I threw down my gun. I caught the flag before it hit the ground, and I led the advance. In less than 20 minutes, I found myself alone, struggling upon the ramparts, while the dead and the wounded were all around me. I had made it to the entrance of the fort, and I proudly planted the flag, but I knew my position was a critical one, and I began to watch to see if I would be left alone. For an hour and a half, I lay pressed up against the wall of that fort as the battle waged on. When a troop of Confederate soldiers began to converge upon me, I knew my only chance was to make it back to the federal line. So in order to protect the flag, I wound the colors around the staff, and I made my way back down to the ditch, which was now filled with seawater, and it came up to my waist. Out of the number that came up with me, there was now no man moving erect, save myself. And in rising to see if I could determine my course to the rear, the bullet I now carried in my body came whizzing like a mosquito, and I was shot. Not being prostrated by the shot, I continued my course, but I was soon struck a second time. With injuries to my chest and my leg, I was approached by a Union soldier from the 100 New York, who asked me if I needed help to get to the rear, and also offered to carry the colors. My response: I will not give this flag to any man unless he belongs to the 54th Regiment. And so we pressed on. But I didn't go far before I was wounded again, and this time in the head. I finally made it back to the line, back to my troops, to my 54th, who cheered me and the flag. And my reply: boys, I only did my duty. The old flag never touched the ground.
My name is Essie Woods, and I am from Atlanta, Georgia. And I guess one day back in 1943, my sisters and I were feeling, some kind of patriotic way. And we went down to sign up to enlist for this army. Well, they made it in, but I got sent home. They said I needed to put on some weight. So 10 pounds later, I went right back, and I joined that army. So they shipped me off to Des Moines in 1944, where I did my training in men's clothing, in men's shoes, men's overcoats, dragging me down on the field. Thank God for that 10 pounds. After, though, I got to tell you, they started making some nice female uniforms for us, so we were sharp. We were sharp, and I was ready to go in 1945 when they shipped me off to England, to Birmingham, as part of the 6888th Postal Delivery service, that's right. And when we got there, it was a mess. We had to have the mail delivered to every U.S. citizen living in Europe, as well as our soldiers, and you know they were always on the move. So wherever they had to go, we had to follow them. And we got them their mail. We got there in February, and we were still unpacking Christmas presents. But I tell you, we knew nothing warmed the hearts of those soldiers and their families than to get that mail and to hear and to read those words. Well, like I said, they moved around, and when they moved to France, we moved right on behind them. And they put us on one of those UL boats. Now, I know those Germans weren't trying to get at me, but they were shooting. But I tell you, we were on the Ile-de-France, the fastest boat they had out there, and we outrun those German guns. But I have to say, when we did hit the ground in France, I saw, and it hit me what this war was about. The devastation, I will never forget. And I will never forget how grateful the French were to have us there, to share our rations with them, to hear their stories, to give them work. We set up like a regular post office. We had 3 shifts working around the clock. I had a staff of French folks. We came in and we got the mail out. And I tell you, war. I never rose above staff sergeant. I didn't want to. I saw my black brothers there, officers, and they were given such a hard time. They were given such a hard time. I didn't want to toe that road, but I wanted to be there to help them through it. Speaking about those boys, well, they had to get a little bit used to us because they felt like we didn't belong there, you know. And we waited, we endured, but over those soldiers abroad, they took good care of us. They took us out to dinner. They entertained us after they got used to us being around. Might as well be nice to us. Well, I have to say, we came from an era that young people today, they wouldn't understand, would they? We expected it. We expected what we were going to get, and we knew that we had to be better. We had to be better than what was expected, and we lived up to it every day. There's some things to remember. For the young folks, don't take what you have for granted, because people walked before you to get you here, and keep serving. Keep carrying that flag. Don't let it drop. Don't let it drop. It makes you a better person. It makes you understand the human way and being a human being, and it makes you dedicated to do something bigger than yourself. And you're supposed to do something bigger than yourself, aren't you? So I think all those things that we did and our soldiers across the decades have done and continue to do matter. And I thank you who are here now, who have gone before me. And I thank you who will go after. And you have a wonderful week.